The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
This week's episode of PSVG Prime is brought to you by the amazing folks over at patreon.com/PSVG, but especially Edwin Callow, Coach Hulk, Barry Cathcart, Chris M., Paul Calico, Kyle Heyman, Benny Lou. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it. And, if you didn't know, what the Patreon gets you is some kind of nifty things here. Number one, you get exclusive episodes of PSVG DLC, our unrated, unscripted show most of the time. Arcadia Academia, Kevin Hates Everything, and Bored with Everything from the guys over at Bored with Video Games in an exclusive feed available only to Patreon supporters. So for just one doll hair, that's right, doll hair, it'll get you this. And you also get entered into a monthly drawing which could get you $20 to Apex Legends, $20 to the eShop of your choice, or a nifty PSVG baseball cap. To get in on all the action and help support us, head on over to patreon.com/PSVG. But now, on with the show.
Hey, you know what, guys? This right here, this rambling, boring conversation containing already made-before observations, this could be a podcast.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Really? A podcast? Don't you have to be some sort of whiz kid to do those?
Definitely not. Anyone with a computer can make one.
Well, that's it. We're anyone. Let's do a podcast from right here in the booth. Who's in?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Play Some Video Games. It is I, your host, Kevin. And with me is the cranberry sauce to my stuffing, Mr. Lucas Rose.
You put cranberry sauce on stuffing?
I don't know. I didn't. I mean, you have the notes. I didn't have any of this written. I was just winging it.
Cranberry sauce is like one of those things like plum pudding or what. I don't know. Those weird old Christmas dishes that I feel like nobody makes anymore. Thanksgiving dishes.
I'm with you. Although Josh and Kyle had a heated dispute on a recent episode of Bored with Video Games about cranberry sauce and which is the preferred method. They both apparently dig it. I'm with you. I don't need it at all.
You put it on turkey, right?
I don't even do that. Cranberry sauce doesn't come near me. I'm a texture eater. So anything that's like Jell-O, no thanks. I'm good. Can't.
I understand that because you know what bugs me? Are you a strawberry jam kind of guy? Perhaps
Not
a strawberry
really.
jelly? Okay.
No.
Now, strawberry jelly, it has the pieces of strawberry in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gross because it feels like a loogie in your mouth. Why do they do that? I don't want that. So I can completely empathize with you on this.
Yeah.
Or perhaps sympathize. I don't know.
One or the other. So actually now I feel bad about comparing you to cranberry sauce because I don't like cranberry sauce, but I like you.
I like stuffing.
I like stuffing too.
I'm mostly made of stuffing.
You know what? You could be the buttery biscuit to my stuffing.
Oh, dude, I'll be your buttery biscuit all day. There we go.
Somebody clip that. Let's keep that one. Lock that one up in the vault.
Please don't use that.
No, I'm using it. It's gonna be my new voicemail thing. I'm your buttery biscuit any day. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello.
Yeah. Is this Kevin? I think. Oh boy, I'm using my work voicemail. We'll do that to make it even more official.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's do it. I mean, it's almost Thanksgiving. We have to figure out how we're recording next week because I don't think we're taking a week off. Who knows? Maybe we'll. I don't know. Let's wing it. Let's see how horrible tonight goes. And if it's so bad, we'll just say forget it.
I like it. Well, lately we just kind of get closer and closer and then see how we feel about it. So
yeah, like let's record right before I have to edit it and post it.
That's how it always. It's basically how it always happens.
It's true. But yeah, so let's. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? You staying home? You going out? You have a big to do?
Oh, dude. Okay. So these days, Thanksgiving is great because I used to have to go to my in-laws, my wife's grandmother's, and it was nice or whatever, but it's your Thanksgiving and Christmas family. You only see them on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so it was always kind of awkward, but now, because my mom who lives alone, I invite her to come to our house so that we can, it's basically a mutual beneficial relationship here because if it's just us, then we don't need to make a whole Thanksgiving Day feast because we have a baby and a 4-year-old who will only eat McDonald's hamburgers. So not really not really productive to do that. But if I invite my mom, then we have 3 adults eating it, make a small Thanksgiving meal. Now, what's beneficial about this is because I have to stay home now and start making the turkey and baking that up with my mom. And I don't have to go to the in-laws house on Thanksgiving. So that's what I'm thankful for. That's the only thing I'm thankful for. No, so yeah, we pretty much just stay home. We do like family stuff, watch movies, whatever, just kind of hang out. When I was younger, we used to go to the movies a lot on Thanksgiving. That was kind of our thing. But we don't do that now because who can afford to go to the movies? It's like, hey, would you like to spend $45 for your whole family just for tickets? No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not fun. So my Thanksgiving is exactly what you described that you no longer have to do anymore. Well, it's we go to my wife's mother's house normally. So my grandmother-in-law, I guess you could say, would be normally where we go. So same situation you're talking about.
Yep.
But now she's getting up there in age and her mobility isn't quite what it used to be. So now one of the aunts volunteered to host it at their house. They have like a newly remodeled kitchen. So it's just better to adapt for the size of that family. But it's the same thing. It's the family you see only at weddings or Thanksgiving or Christmas. And that's really the only time you ever see most of these folks. And we all kind of cram in there. So we're heading over there to do that. So my wife's going to make a couple dishes to bring. It's fine. I just normally am beat by the end of it because it's just the anxiety of all those people crammed into like one place. And it's like,
yeah.
And unfortunately, where we're going, like the kids don't really have anywhere to play either, so it makes it hard to like be like, all right, you guys go somewhere else so you can be loud and leave the adults alone, kind of deal. There's not a huge area to do that, and because of the age dynamics we have there's 4 generations that all go to the same Thanksgiving. So you think, well, that's like you got to try and separate that a little bit, like because
all the old people are getting annoyed with all the children running around because There's no room. And it's probably like 90 degrees in there all the time because there's so many people.
It's going to be. Yeah, Christmas Eve, like they actually leave like normally the front doors open. It's like, and the house is that hot. But I'm interested to see what happens this year. So like my oldest daughter's she'll be about 16. Well, she'll be 16 in the beginning of December. So she's just about there. I feel like she's at that point where she's like, I don't want to hang out with the kids, but I also don't want to hang out with you adults. Like, I think it's gonna be one of those situations like, so what are you going to do exactly?
As a kid who grew up in that exact same position where all of my older brother and sister were all the older kids were way too old. Yeah. And then I was like the youngest and there was nobody else below me. So I was just kind of like, hey, hanging out by myself, I guess. Mm-hmm. And before cell phones and all that stuff. So thankfully, our family just kind of stopped doing anything after that point because all the kids moved on and had their own families. And then so it just kind of stopped happening.
And all the adults were like, we don't like each other anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm just grateful that Nan is not trying to do it anymore because she would not sit down, even though everyone's there helping and everyone's using her place to cook. She insists on like trying to be the hostess and cleaning everything up. And we're like, sit down. Like we have this. There's so many other people's house that can do all this stuff. Knock it off,
Grandma, we're just using you for your house. Now go lay back down in the bedroom.
Otherwise, nobody's going to come to see you. We only come together on the holidays. Right. You should know this. Now stop abusing us or we're not going to do it anymore.
Make your delicious pie.
Exactly. And what's going to happen is at some point they will always make that reference to, well, this might be the last holidays for me. Ooh, those always make it awkward. She said that probably for the last 5 or 6 years, I think. So I'm interested to see if she says it again this year.
Well, I thought last year would be my last things. It's like, okay, now it's getting into a conversation mode.
I'm thankful I'm still here. All right, that's enough misery talk. Let's move on to some fun stuff. Let's talk about video games because that's what we do here. We don't talk about relatives and death and holidays.
Relatively speaking, we don't.
I see what you did there. So let's talk about some video games. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Why don't you go first?
Okay, I'll start with the one thing that we both don't have on our list, and that's so this came about. Those little, if you're on Android, those little Google cards that come up when you open like Chrome on your Android phone and you're like, oh, news to look at. Mm-hmm. So I think I came across a game called Yes, Your Grace, which is in Your Grace, which is in beta right now. And the headline was like, there's still time to sign up for this beta of Yes, Your Grace. So I clicked on it because I was probably pooping at the time or something and had all the time in the world. And I'm looking at it, and it's basically being described as Game of Thrones meets like a pixelized version of what was that card? Dang it. What was that card game where you had to pick between two different cards or something?
Oh, there was a Game of Thrones version of it, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, give me a minute. I'll keep talking. Okay, I'll find it. Okay. I know what it is.
So yeah, it's basically Game of Thrones meets this card game. But I was surprised because I signed up for the beta, and I did actually get in about 2 or 3 days before it ended. And I was surprised to find out that there's actually a story that goes along with it. You're not just sitting down trying to go through, for instance, in this game, I can't remember.
It's Reigns.
Reigns? Okay. Yeah. Yes. So in Reigns, you just go through a deck of cards, I believe.
Yep.
In this game, you have a family, and they all have sort of their own things going on. Like, for instance, you have a daughter who is, I think she's around 16, and she is kind of acting grumpy, and you don't really know why. You don't get any backstory on who any of these people are. You just kind of figure out who they are based on talking to them. And it turns out she knows that pretty soon she's probably going to get married off. Like, it's about that time, and she's afraid that she might not be ready, and you're going to force her into some kind of relationship, because that's usually what happens.
That's what I'm getting ready to do with my daughter, who's almost 16 too. So that works.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how she takes to that. So are you going to marry her off to another podcast, and then that way so yeah, Yes, Your Grace. I was just interested because it was kind of like this combination of storytelling, which I didn't even know about, and of course a strategy sim where you're mostly just kind of figuring out how to gain and use resources. You have gold, supplies, which is basically food, combat strength, and popularity. And you gain or subtract those things based on what you decide to do. So at the beginning of the day, you sit down in your throne room, and a bunch of people come into your hall, and they need to talk to you. They might be your citizens. They might be lords or ladies from another area, your generals. Sometimes you'll send them on missions, and then they'll come back and tell you what happened. And so you have all these different people trying to basically gain favors from you. For instance, one guy said, hey, he was just a regular old serf or just commoner, and wanted money for his daughter's wedding. He said, we can't really afford to pay for a good wedding. I'm afraid of what the in-laws will think of us. Will you give us 8 gold so that we can have this awesome wedding? And I was like, no, I'm not going to be the king.
Who's the king that?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you asking me? Well, it turns out later you find out, and since this is a beta, this is all subject to change, and it's actually not that much story-wise, but you find out that your daughter the unruly one, has been sneaking out, and she snuck out to this wedding, and she makes a comment on how it wasn't that great because she heard that you could have sprung for it a little bit. So there are like little touches like that I thought were pretty cool. And so the overall arcing story, though, is that there is another kingdom of barbarians who at some point earlier in your life, you and your wife were held at knife point by them. And the only way to save your lives was to promise your firstborn daughter to marry into this barbarian lordship, kingship. Yeah. They're called like the Radovan or something. It was very close to something from The Witcher. That's how I remembered it. And so that comes back to haunt you many years later, where now you're the lord of your own keep or whatever. You're the king. And these barbarians are now knocking at the gates. They've found a way to cross over these mountains that have been protecting you for a while. And they're starting to be seen on the in like the farther farmlands and farther out. So that's kind of where it's at now. You're supposed to either uphold your promise or figure out how to fight them or whatever. So the beta kind of ends after you curry favor with another lord to gain military strength because you don't want to marry her off to this barbarian. And in that way, I felt like there wasn't really much choice. Even though I was making decisions, it didn't feel like it was changing the outcome of the story. So that was a little disappointing because I didn't want to marry my daughter off to this other guy just to save her from having to marry this barbarian guy. But when I said no, it was like, well, you don't really have a choice, so you have to do it anyway. So I'm like, well, that's not really a choice at all.
Right.
There were a couple things. It's pixel art, so that's fine. You know, it's not a platformer, so it's more of like a point and click adventure.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I did mention they were like, what was one thing you'd improve upon in this beta? And I said, it was kind of annoying to have to watch your guy walk from place to place because you're constantly walking to the same areas. It would have been nice to like double click on something and just exit like they did in Thimbleweed Park.
Yeah.
So overall, it was kind of an interesting game, though. And I'm wondering if they'll bring it to other platforms because it's this nice, light, kind of story-driven game where all you really have to do are make decisions that aren't really all that, it's not like who's going to die, at least at this point. So
right.
It was kind of one of those nice games where you just sit back and you just kind of drink it in a little bit. So
that's cool.
And I haven't really been involved in many betas, so
right.
It's kind of nice to just be like, hey, this is what I thought. So other than that, the only other game that I've really played, sorry, our Outer Worlds, is Jedi Fallen Order. And I see we both have played it. And I know, because you told me where you're at in it, but I will say that I've probably put 14, 15 hours into the game. So I feel like I'm pretty close without spoilers because I have been told that I spoil everything.
I'm not going to be spoiling anything either. So
yes. So I'm at the place where you get the thing, but you find out you can't go much farther. So you come back later and it's really hard.
Yes.
So yes, hopefully that didn't spoil too much for anybody. This game just continues to impress. I will say that, it goes towards everything that most people are saying about Star Wars games that are single player. Like you have to really try hard not to make a good or at least a decent single player Star Wars game.
Yep.
You would think you're printing your own money basically at that point. And the fact that it ended up being good was, just like the icing on the cake. But, there's one problem. There's one problem that I had with the game, and I'm wondering if maybe you had a problem with it too. And it's something that comes up a lot in the game, so you see it quite a bit. And I personally struggled with this quite a bit because of this. And I can just explain it to you in one word: slides.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this isn't spoilers for anybody listening. Don't worry, we're not kind of tiptoeing about this. Apparently, the galaxy is a very, very slippery place.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah, there's downward spirals, literally. Mud, ice, perhaps even a waterfall at one point. I don't know. There's still a lot of game left, Maybe even a tree trunk like Tarzan. I don't know, but I mean, there's a lot of weird surfing. So once or twice, okay, I get it. You have to justify the fact that you made this kind of mini game type deal.
Yeah.
But like it comes up on every single place you go to more than one time. And it's not that bad, but it's like the original Mass Effect elevators. You see it so much because it's like, okay, what's going on here? But it combines like the jumping, and during these parts I got a lot of stutter. So there were a couple of times where I jumped too soon, didn't mean to. So that really is like my only negative is like, what were you thinking?
Have you reached the ones that also add in the sliding, the jumping, and you having to also use force abilities?
I just did. I've done it once or twice now.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's definitely one of the pain points for me of the game. I really don't understand why everything had to be slippery. Like you said, it's like the elevators in Mass Effect, except however you don't die in the elevators in Mass Effect.
That's true.
And some of these turns on these sides are just like, nope, you're going off the edge. Like you there's no way any gamer would ever know to be like, okay, I need to turn this direction before I even see a turn in order to live through these things.
Like Skate or Die for the original Nintendo had better controls when it came to like going downhill than this does. It's ridiculous. It's so tight. Like the turning is so tight. It's so weird.
Yeah, it is. Are you having any other technical issues? I know you said you're getting some freezing on the slides. Are you getting it in other places as well, like I did, or
it's jumping around a bit, kind of like Link's Awakening did. It happens, but it wasn't too problematic. It has been here and there, but never like falling through the floor or just going up in the sky.
I haven't had any of that either.
Nothing
just like freezing or stuff. Exactly. I had a lot of freezes. I had one point. The worst one I had, I think, is it froze for a good 30 seconds. I want to say too.
Wow.
Just like, I didn't know. Like I thought I was gonna have to exit out of the game, but I'm like, how much progress am I gonna lose? And while I was thinking about all that, eventually caught up. But I was just like, oh great. Like, whew. Trying to figure out how to dance around this. So I have beaten the game.
Okay.
It is done. It took me about 20 hours. I did not 100% everything. I'm not going to.
And did you really beat the game at all?
I know people can say what they want.
You need the BD1 skin that you're missing.
All right. So that's one of the things I want to address here. Now I want to preface this ahead of time because people are already probably like getting ready to be angry with me. This game is easily a game of the year contender for me. However, I guarantee you it is not my game of the year. It is one of the better experiences I've had, yes. Mm-hmm. But there are a couple of things I want to point out that are some are nitpicky. And then I hope this one line I'm going to say a little bit later is going to really open up some people's eyes and probably make Donnie laugh harder than anybody else. But the story of the game, I absolutely love. I think whoever was in charge of the narrative of it, it was fantastic. And there was at one point in the game, I actually was getting tired of playing the game. And I just wanted it to end. Mm-hmm. And there was certain things that happened in the story that made me kind of sit back and go, oh man, let's go. Like, I want to keep playing this thing. And the ending, I think, was absolutely phenomenal. So when you get there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It was fantastic ending to this. It is written much like, in my mind, of Shadows of the Empire. It could have been its own standalone story kind of thing. Like, it is that good. The whole thing about with folks saying like, oh, they need 100% it. I need to get all the collectibles and this and that. If you want to do that, that's fine. The collectibles literally do absolutely nothing for you at all. And that's kind of what I found annoying. Like doing the force echoes on items and you get like the memories and sometimes you get like, a health boost or force boost. Those were helpful. But those boxes that BD would jump in and get, those were entirely useless. Like I don't need 30 poncho options for my guy because guess what? I didn't even equip the poncho. I took it off him the second I could because I thought it looked stupid.
The poncho was pretty bad. Yeah,
I had the jacket, which only had like 4 different materials you can pick from, and I think like 2 of them were really bad.
Now, wait a second. You didn't want the bright yellow poncho?
No.
What are you thinking? Come on, man.
I know it's silly. And the BD skins, like it's the same thing. I was like, okay, some of them definitely look better than others.
That's for sure.
Donnie had a pre-order bonus that came with his, and it came with like a kind of like a goldish yellowish BD skin in it, and that's the one I put on him like right from the start, and I never changed it. I looked to see what the other ones were, and I'm like, none of them look as good as this one. I'm just gonna keep this one.
Yeah.
So I mean that part is a little disappointing, and I just don't feel the need to be driven to be like, oh, I need to get every box because they don't matter. I don't need more skins for the ship and stuff, you know.
I think EA doesn't understand how customization works because they either try to sell it to us or they just make it unlockables to 100% the game. And like you said, if they put more work into them and had less of them, it probably would have had more impact on me. Like actual outfits would have been maybe better, and then a couple color shifts here and there. But unfortunately, it's kind of like, to me, I like customization, and I think most people do, right? But at first, it's like, oh, cool, I see all these options on here. That's really cool that there's so many different color options for your ship, your BD1, blah, 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 your poncho. Who doesn't want a color option for your poncho? I was still waiting for the rain slicker poncho, but that never came through.
Yeah, right.
But after a while, you unlock like 5 of them, and you're just like, oh my gosh, why? How many? Because most of them you're not gonna like. You're gonna find one that you really like, maybe 1 or 2, and then after that, you're just like, you look at it. I'm just gonna go back to what I have.
Yep.
And it's after that, there's almost no point to it, because at first when I commented about it, I had said I liked that you got to explore and find things. And the lore is pretty cool, except for half the time he says what was already written, and then you go in there to see what it says, and you're like, oh, he just said the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the canisters in particular were pretty tough after a while. I was just like, oh gosh.
I wanted outfits, and the other thing that would have got me excited was other lightsaber colors. Like that would have been something that would have made me motivated to get them all.
I know.
I need to see what this looks like and what this one looks like, and
Yeah.
But no, they're not there. So you get the red, not the red. You get the green and blue that you can pick from the start. And if you have the digital pre-order, you actually had orange was another option you had, but that was it.
What?
Yeah,
they got orange. Come on.
Yep. So it was just kind of like, all right, it was cool. One of the things I noticed that I thought was actually, and this hurts me a little bit because I'm a fan of Respawn. I like all the games that they've made so far. Have you? This isn't spoiler. So there's portions of the game where you're underwater.
Yes.
And you can open chests underwater. There's obviously some of those boxes under there. Now, I don't know if it happened on PC, but in console, he still just says, all right, go get it, BD. And it makes all the noises if BD goes in, but BD never leaves your shoulder. That just annoyed me. I found it just to be sloppy work. Like, because BD always jumps in the box and he moves around.
Yeah.
Underwater, at least on Xbox, he does not leave you, but it does all the animations and he says the same stuff. Like, what you find in there, buddy? And like BD talks back to you and stuff. Like,
he might have, but I think I don't think I noticed it as much because of the underwater effects.
Probably.
It was kind of hard to hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he leaves. He probably doesn't leave the shoulder, because why would he? Yeah, right. I didn't notice it.
So I don't know. I just found it to be sloppy, but overall, I really like the game. But here's what I'm going to say. I find it ironic, especially in our circle of friends, with some folks talking about how great it is, rushing to 100% it. This is game of the year. So I want you to take a step back, Lucas, and I want you to just think of this objectively if you can, or subjectively. I don't really know. I don't know words.
The good one.
Yeah, sure. If you take away the Star Wars skin off this game.
Okay.
I had no idea that Link was a Jedi. And I say this because this game and the puzzles and the mechanics are Breath of the Wild. So for so many folks to be like, this game is fantastic, but they played 10 hours of Breath of the Wild. Now, yes, this is a better story because there actually is a story. So I'll knock Breath of the Wild for that. Yeah. But I find that's the first thing after playing this game for like 5 or 10 hours. And I didn't say this in the Discord or anything like that, that I'm like, man, this is really similar to Breath of the Wild. A lot of the puzzle mechanics, the way you use the Force is exactly the same abilities that Link had in Breath of the Wild. So it's true. It's really weird that I just find, I don't want to say hypocrisy because that sounds like I'm being critical of folks, but I find it ironic, I guess, that so many people are like, this game is fantastic. And I'm like, well, you could put Link in this game and it would still be, it would be the same game. And it's just Breath of the Wild. With the better story. But
also, there's no weapon durability problems.
No, yes.
Which is nice. And I felt like you gain experience. And to me, I've learned through playing Breath of the Wild, I'm kind of conditioned to have experience. So if I'm fighting things and not gaining anything from it, then I feel like I don't need to fight them. And I think those were like my bigger problems with that.
Yeah.
With Breath of the Wild. But I can see what you're saying, because without spoiling, there are puzzles there where you're using. There's one in particular. Oh my gosh, I spent like 10 minutes using the same power over and over, and I'm just like, are you? Who made this puzzle? But yeah,
Nintendo made the puzzle.
Exactly. There were times where it does kind of feel you have that same stop, take a look around, look at your powers. What can you do here? Things are highlighted in blue.
Yep. The backtracking back and forth.
It is funny you say that. It's amazing how you can have so many similarities to certain games, and then you just mix it up a little differently, and it resonates with other people as opposed to, the people who love the original thing or whatever.
Exactly. And I was saying, I didn't mean it as a knock to anybody. I just find it ironic because I enjoyed both games, Breath of the Wild and Star Wars, but I know there are numerous people, even just in our Discord, that hated Breath of the Wild or have never given it a decent go at it, but are infatuated with this game. And it's like, well, they're really similar in a lot of ways.
Like from a mechanical speaking, like functionality. Could
So-
you imagine a Zelda Breath of the Wild Dark Souls?
I could. That's the sad part.
I mean, it kind of is, but
and after beating this, I'm wondering, like, can I actually play Dark Souls? Because I was like, I don't want to play that. It sounds horrible. But now I'm like, maybe I would.
I've heard when it comes to Dark Souls, you should start at the latest one that was released and work your way backward because of the upgrades to quality of life things in the game. So
yeah. Other than that, I dabbled a little bit back into Call of Duty. Now that I finished Star Wars, that was kind of the game plan for my year, was to wrap up Star Wars, jump back into Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, but I'm realizing, and I don't know if it's just this version of Call of Duty or I'm just not a Call of Duty guy. I'm having a hard time just a hard time with this game. It's very tough for me, even though I'm playing in like an easy mode or normal mode, whatever. I didn't rank up the difficulty. And it's supposed to be realistic, and I get that. And I guess I'm just not used to that because I'm used to games where like you can run and gun, you can get hit 4 or 5 times and you're not dead. Call of Duty, that doesn't happen that way. Like you get hit once or twice and you're dead depending on where you are. But I do like what the game does. I mean, this is a real scary look at modern warfare. And just like, you're in the Middle East and like you're going into houses and you don't know who the enemy are because they're not necessarily wearing uniforms. I mean, there's been scenes where I've burst into a room and you can choose to open the door slowly or you can kick in the door. You kick in the door and a guy's got a gun to a woman's head. And if you don't act quick enough, they will shoot that person. Now, you don't fail the mission or anything for that, but it just kind of makes me feel bad as a person as I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I could have stopped that. But there was one where I stopped it. I shot the guy in the head. My partner or my captain was like, oh, great shot, whatever the character's name was. And then the next thing, the woman pulls out a shotgun and tries to shoot me. So like, but that's how it is. And there's people like under beds, like you walk in a room, there's a guy like just laying on the floor under the bed,
I remember
getting ready to
Donnie
shoot at you.
talking
So
about
it's not like you can just walk into a room like you used to be able to and just go at it. So
yeah,
it's a scary look at how things really are, I guess. And it's good. I don't mind it. I just having a hard time adjusting from like, an Apex Legends or even a Gears of War type shooting to this kind of shooting is not an easy transition for me. So,
well, especially for Call of Duty, which is not known for the more Battlefield. I mean, that sounds like Battlefield when you talk about it that way. So
yeah.
You're expecting more of the action movie run and gun.
Yep.
So
I want Die Hard.
Yeah, exactly. What about are you finding like the story to be interesting enough?
The story's interesting so far. I'm probably about halfway through the game in the campaign, and it's interesting. I like the characters that they're building. It sometimes gets a little hard to follow because there's so many different parties involved. Like you have the U.S. military, but then there's this other, I'm not even sure what they are, covert operations group, but they're like recruiting people from all over the globe onto one team.
It's like Metal Gear Solid.
It's too much of that, I guess. So like you have guys from Britain, then you have guys that are in the Middle East that are Middle Eastern, then you have the American guy who's on the team.
Are they bad guys or good guys?
Those are the good guys.
The other team is too?
Yeah. Like the U.S. military and this other team are kind of working side by side.
Okay.
But then you have different factions in the Middle East, and I don't really know who's good and who's not yet. Because like you capture this one guy early in the game, spoilers, not really, but you capture him, and then like the town revolts and raids the embassy to free him. But I'm like, but this is a bad guy. Why are you freeing him? But then it's like that's just how the influence is, I guess, in certain areas of the Middle East. Where
sounds kind of cool though, because like. Especially from the perspective of working for like assuming the government of that place, and then you go to, I would assume some kind of rebel or dissenter. You capture them, and it turns out the people love them. Well, especially as an American, that's probably really hard to wrap your brain around.
Yeah, and like there was a whole mission in the embassy that was really cool. Like you had to even navigate people. You were actually manning CCTVs, and you were talking to a woman through a cell phone and just saying, "Okay, move forward, hide behind that filing cabinet." And I was actually marking places on the map on the screen, and she'd have to run and hide and avoid the people as they're kind of combing through the embassy trying to find her.
Dang.
So yeah, it's really interesting. I will say that it's very good. I'm just not good at it, I think, is really what it is. So. But enjoying my time with it at least. And the last thing I'm playing, I'm still ticking away at Link's Awakening. We were laughing in Discord, I think it was, or maybe been Flexpo's Discord, about the Nintendo emails that go out and tell you like how much time you spent on stuff. Like Cal spent like 50 hours in Dragon Quest, and Jason's like, "Oh, I only spent 10 hours in Smash," or whatever it was. And I was like, "Yeah, I spent 5 hours in Link's Awakening. That's all I did all last month." So I picked it up a few times over the weekend, just kind of played small bursts. I think I have 2 dungeons left to go. And Link's Awakening. I did, however, play it for the first time on the TV, which I had not done. I had played the entire game in handheld. Okay. I'm enjoying it a little bit more on the TV, although that blurry thing we always talk about is worse on TV than it is in handheld. So
that didn't help.
Yeah, it didn't help. But I'm still enjoying the game. I'm still having fun with it. I'm doing a lot of the stuff that they added. Finding seashells, but I'm not like stopping the game and just searching out seashells.
Yeah.
And then the whole figurine quest. I don't know if you even saw it in the claw machine room. You can grab the people and put them on everyone's house.
Yeah, I got Yoshi and the little
chain chomp. Yeah. So I've done, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them. They keep going. I think there's like 10 total.
So after you get Yoshi, it replaces it with another one?
Yeah. But after a while, they'll stop until you uncover more dungeons. So it's like you can't just blow through that whole part of the game. Like you actually have to progress the actual main story, and then you keep going back to the claw machine. The stupid thing is all you get when it's all said and done is you get the price of the claw games drops to 5 instead of 10. So it's
why
like,
would you even want to play anymore?
And you get a dungeon thing for Dompe's dungeon thing that I haven't even bothered to do yet either.
Yeah, that makes you do it at some point. Well,
yeah. So
everyone talks about the claw game. Mm-hmm. What about the fishing? Is there any point to actually doing all that fishing? Because you keep getting heavier lures, and
I think it's just more hearts and maybe a second bottle, if I recall. I mean, it's mostly just money though. But if you as you get the different lures and you get the heavier fish, the bigger fish, the rewards are greater. So it's a good money making opportunity. Mainly is what people farmed it for.
I didn't need money though.
Well, if you want to keep playing the claw machine, but yeah, you're right. This game, I've found very little reason to get money. Like once you get the bow and arrow and the shovel, like you're good. You don't need money anymore. Like,
yeah.
I did get the boomerang, which I know you didn't get. So,
yeah, I'm kind of upset about that because when I started to rely on walkthroughs, yes, I know, to get through some of these dungeons, it would read like dispatch so and so with a boomerang, and I'm like, I don't have the boomerang. I guess I'll just run.
Run away. But yeah, so I'm playing that. The good news is I did take a page out of you and Jason Lacey's book. And I decided to check and see if my library had Luigi's Mansion. And it did. And it wasn't my local one, but it was another one in the state. So they'll ship, nice. To each other and get it to there. So I reserved it. But it was literally the day they were checking it into that library. So I placed the hold. I got the first hold, and it's on its way. I should have it tomorrow, actually, as when we're recording this. So I will report back on that. Me and my wife are going to try and play as much as possible. I don't know how long our rentals are. It's either, depending on the library, it's either like 2 weeks or a month. I hope it's a month because I got Disney coming up, so I'd like to have it for Disney. I can take it with me, kind of deal. And the plane would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll be reporting on that. Everyone says I should be playing it, and I just didn't really have the money for it right now. Didn't want to spend the money on it, so I was like, well, we'll rent it, and then if we really like it, we'll just get it after that. So, but That's it. That's all I've been playing, man.
Hopefully we get it around the same time because I'm still waiting. The library is really great about getting those first party titles, I've noticed, but man, they only have 3 copies of Dragon Quest. 3 for like
that's the one I didn't check.
60-hour game or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, good lord, come on.
That's the one I meant to check. I did check for Fire Emblem 3 Houses. We don't have it. I checked for Pokemon. We don't have that. But then we have Luigi's Mansion.
Like shoe in. Why wouldn't they get the Pokemon?
I have no idea. So that's why I totally forgot about Dragon Quest. I thought there was another one. I'm like, I could not remember, but Dragon Quest is the other one I want to try and get. So, or even Dragon Quest Builders. I'll even play that. So
before we move on, with Link's Awakening, what's taking you so long to beat it? Like, it sounds like you're not playing it. Is it because you don't feel like playing it, or is it because it fulfills a certain niche in your gaming category where you're like, I only play it at this time or whatever?
I just don't play my Switch. I don't pick it up. That's the problem. Is like I don't. Whenever I have the opportunity, I'm playing on the Xbox with these other bigger, Star Wars experiences versus Link's Awakening, which is great, but it's also something I've already played. So like, yeah, I'm having to be like, where's this again? But like, it's comes back to you after a while, and you're like, okay, these puzzles that for a first time player might be like, oh, okay, I wonder how this goes. The second I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I remember how to do this, and like, or I walk into a room and I know right away if I can't do something, so I just turn around and go back till I get whatever item I need. So like those types of things take away a little bit of the fun for me, I think. But the main thing is just because it's on the Switch, and I just don't play the Switch as much. That the Joy-Con drifts are driving me nuts.
Oh gosh,
It's fine if I'm holding something like so. Link's Awakening is actually not bad because I'm constantly has my finger on the Joy-Con, so I'm always moving him anyway.
Yeah.
If I were to let it go for whatever reason, which would never happen in the game, he'll start walking off in a direction. But that kind of game doesn't affect me. But if I'm playing something like a Splatoon or a Mario Kart, that drift makes it near impossible to play because it's always going to be moving in an opposite direction of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's really annoying me. But if I play on the TV, at least I can play with my controller, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not a tabletop Switch person.
Yeah.
That screen's too small for me to do that unless I'm holding it.
I'm too old for that.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's the main reason. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't pick up the Switch as much to play anymore.
Yeah, I hear you there.
It's always like a second option. It's like if I have the options Xbox, well, if I can't play Xbox, then I guess I'll go ahead and play Switch, and that's kind of really all it is.
Okay.
But Luigi's Mansion will change that because I will definitely be motivated to play that, as will the wife. So we'll play as Luigi and Gooigi.
Aw, who will be the Gooigi?
I don't know. I'm guessing probably me because she won't want to do that.
Should be like Gooigi. This is stupid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who's ever heard of a Gooigi?
I'll be like, actually, no.
In the lore of the Mushroom Kingdom,
You never heard of Gooigi?
he's referenced in the first comic.
It's like, this comics? Shush, woman.
Exactly. Oh, there's a whole world you don't even know.
Yeah, you don't even know. All right, well, that's enough about us. Let's hear it from you guys. It's time to check out what you've sent us, so it's time to listen to the messages.
Message for you, sir.
Let's go with the second one first. I feel like this is the shorter one. Dev sends us a message, and his exact words were, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a... No, what is your most anticipated game that hasn't been released yet, and why is it Cyberpunk 2077? Hashtag Prime question.
I love that hashtag.
He's the only one that uses it, but I do love that.
It's a good one. More people should get on that.
It's true. It's true. From now on, we refuse to accept your questions unless they're hashtag Prime question. Anyway, why don't you go first?
I was gonna say because we really can afford to do that.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll go first, but I do want to ask you something, so don't let me forget that. I mean, yes, Cyber 2077 is Cyber 2077. Cyberpunk. Hello, Punk. Do you feel lucky? What the hell is going on? It is the obvious answer, right? For me especially, I've talked about this is like I'm just ready. I'm just waiting for it to come to me. But I was thinking about it, and there are, if I can remember them, there are a few other games like Beyond Good and Evil 2, if that ever comes out.
Right.
But yeah, as of yet unreleased. I've really had an urge to go back and play the original for some reason, which to me is probably going to be harder and harder to do. I should probably just wait until they'll never remaster it. They can't even get the second game out.
Nope.
And then I think there was another one, but I don't, clearly not as important because I don't remember it. But what I was going to ask you is what are your feelings on Cyberpunk 2077? Because I haven't really heard you say too much about it that I can remember, but
so I am excited for it. A couple reasons. The theme of the game hits with me. I like a good cyber game type deal.
Heck yeah.
I like me a good Keanu Reeves, so I'm good with that. So that's two things going for it.
I'm totally in your head.
So I'm all for that, and I do like. So I never gave Witcher 3 probably the fair shake it deserved, and that was on my list of games I wanted to play this year and beat, which clearly didn't happen at this point, and probably won't, to be honest.
Yeah.
but I respect what they've done for a relatively smaller studio in comparison to some of these giant ones. And I know they always have a good narrative with their stuff, so I'm excited to see what they do in a different take that's not, medieval, which doesn't always connect with me, and that's my problem, not the designer's problem. That's just how I've always been. This one definitely is on my radar, and I'm a little torn here, Dev. I don't know if this is my most anticipated or the only other game that I know of or that I can recall right now. Actually, false. There's 3.
Madden
this
21.
One? What was that?
Madden 21.
No. This one, Animal Crossing, New Horizons.
Oh,
that's just me. I'm an Animal Crossing guy, so I enjoy those games.
Man.
That's a great time waster game. Like when you don't really feel like playing something, but you want to play something, that's the game to play is Animal Crossing. And that's when my entire family engages in. My older kids, my wife, we all play Animal Crossing, so that would be a great thing to have back on a main console, not on the handhelds as they've been. Nice. The other one, Dev, you should also be hyped for would be Watchdogs Legion is the other one on my list that I want to get
to. Yeah, that is true because you're all about the Watchdogs, Dev. And so the fact that you said Cyberpunk 2077, kind of is really showing where your loyalties lie, I think.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure which one of those are my top one, but definitely those 3 are my highlights so far that what we know of for the year.
Nice.
That I want to dig into.
I did remember the other game that I was going to say. It is not quite as I don't have as much fervor for it, but Psychonauts 2 actually is
that's right.
a huge surprise that they're even making a second one. So apparently just two games that are kind of similar in the sense that the fact that they're getting a sequel is surprising. I guess that's what I like about them.
Well, Pass, that'll be on Game Pass launch for free. So
it will be.
Yeah, Microsoft bought them. Microsoft bought the studio.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. See, I'll tell you my strategy about waiting for games to come out. I just don't pay any attention to any of that stuff because it seems like before you know it, it's here, as opposed to like looking up every piece of Cyberpunk 2077 info I can. Then I just have a reminder of how far away it is until it comes out. So
there you go. So the second is from Donnie. This one's been on our list for a couple of weeks. We just didn't have time to address this, so we'll knock it out today.
Yes.
He asks, what does Prime think about China putting a curfew on gaming time for players under the age of 18? I'm not going to ask if you think it would ever happen here in the States because we know it wouldn't. So let's ask you a hypothetical. Do you think it might have an overall positive effect should it actually happen? Say during the rise of video games over the past year, somehow America pulled it off. Would our kids today have a net benefit effect? And taking it another step further, do you think other aspects of the internet could use a little moderation? No Twitter after 10 p.m., fantasy sports, gambling sites, so on and so forth. Lucas.
Well, here's the thing. Without being too political and putting my foot in my mouth, I do feel like living in China might be a little bit different than living in America.
Sure.
In the sense that maybe there's a reason more kids are trying to play video games. I feel like there's probably a lot more escapism going on there. Just because of the climate, as it were, there for the populace. I've been watching a lot of Simpsons lately, and I feel like it would be like the episode of when Itchy and Scratchy was off the air or was nobody liked it anymore, and all the kids
they were like hugging and stuff like that. Yeah,
all the kids go outside to play on the playgrounds and stuff. It's hard to say if it would have a net benefit, really, because there's more than just video games, right? There's television, drugs, alcohol, all sorts of things. I don't think we'd really notice a difference, honestly. I mean, it's so ingrained. Back in the days when it was just the SNES, you could easily say, all right, shut off your console and go to bed. But now it's like, all right, shut off your console and go to your phone and then go to your computer and then go to your television. It's like, I don't think it matters that much. It would be like the internet would be what you'd really have to cut off. And so I think from that sense, it really just comes down. I believe in, you parent your kids the way that you feel like you should. That doesn't work for everybody, but
right.
And obviously there are people out there who have real problems with addiction when it comes to gaming. There's something in your brain. It just clicks with you for some reason. Those people would be helped by this in some sense. But I think for most other people, most people just fluctuate. Some people play a lot of games for a certain period, and then, you know, then you go on to do something else and you come back to games 3 months later or whatever. Could you imagine trying to get through a 60-hour game only able to play like, what was it, 90 minutes?
Yeah, they can play 90 minutes on a weekday, 3 hours on a weekend.
Yeah.
And holidays.
That would... Well, now they know what it's like to be an adult, so I guess they wouldn't have any misconceptions about that.
I was getting ready to jump in and say, this is terrible. And I'm thinking, I probably only play 90 minutes of gaming on weekdays, and I don't think I even get 3 hours on weekends and holidays. So, I mean, maybe some rare occasions, but I think I'm already living in China. What's going on?
That's the thing of it, is we're actually in China right now. We don't even know it. Yeah, that's true. But so really they're just missing our days of yore, when I remember playing like Final Fantasy 7 and 8 for 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you get like you get a day where the wife and kids are out and you can kind of play for 4 or 5 hours, something like that. Like, yeah, those are rare, but technically you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. The government said, well, and when I read the article that I have linked, or that I was looking at, and I linked it here for you to look at, they were talking about now the people who make the video games and control this stuff have to put in like age verification stuff and all this other, like, it's just more steps to do things, and that never works out well.
And at that point, why not just, I mean, I get China's a huge market, but number one, they limit what content even comes into the country to begin with. Why even do business there then? Like, is it worth the extra effort to meet their requirements that, let's be honest, could change any day that the president or prime minister, whatever they have there, feels weird because somebody said he looked like Winnie the Pooh, and you know, he's all thrown off for the thing, and he makes changes. Then you have to go in and change your coding, or whatever the case is, if it's a network game, whatever, so on and so forth. Like, that's a lot for something that I don't see maybe is worth the effort. Like, just sell everything.
Well, that's when you just get the interns to do it and don't pay them anymore.
That's true. So if we did in the States, I actually don't think overall it would be a positive thing. Like you said, you could just move on to other things here and so on and so forth. But I think for a lot of kids, now, yes, you have ones that have, you know, or, you know, these kids maybe shouldn't be playing for so long. Not every kid is like that. Some use it as their primary form of entertainment. So if I had a kid that, hey, I want to play video games for 4 hours after school, you know, I eat my dinner, I do my homework, do all that stuff, but they don't watch TV like the other 8 hours of the day, then I'm okay with that. Like, but some kids will do the same thing, but just sit in front of the TV and watch that. It's like, is that any better? And, you know, no, you know, maybe you're using your brain a little bit more in a video game, and that, you know, hand-eye dexterity and stuff like that. I'm not saying like that's a benefit of it, but that's something at least a little bit better than just staring and watching, you know, binge watching 8 seasons of Breaking Bad or something.
If your kid's watching Breaking Bad and he's 8 years old, what are you doing?
You know, parental controls on streaming sites, that's a pain in the ass. You know, stuff like that. But overall, like, do I think other parts of the internet could use a little moderation? No Twitter after 10 p.m. Like, that stuff would never fly, because number one, how do you even control time zones? Like, what do you do there? Like, you just start turning off Twitter for people depending on what time zone they're in. That'd be really weird. Like, somebody tweets something and you want to respond, but you can't because it's, you know, after 8 p.m. in your time or something like that. It makes no sense.
The news sites can't report any news on Twitter.
Right. So that would be weird. Do I think the one thing I would say, I think online gambling sites, I'm okay if we got rid of those. I'm not against gambling, but at least go somewhere to gamble. Like, get up off your ass and go somewhere. Have a couple cocktails. We'll go watch a show. Go see a comedian or something. Have a dinner.
Yeah, but not everybody has enough money to go and go out and gamble. Some people have to do the poor way of gambling, which is stay at home on your fast broadband internet. And
right. If you're at that point, then you probably shouldn't be broadband. You should be gambling online anyway. Then, that's my stance on it there. So yeah, not gonna happen.
More reasons to not move to China.
It's true.
That way.
It's true. I'll cross that off my bucket list.
Not moving to China anymore.
Jeez, gosh. All right. That wraps it up for questions this week. Thank you guys for sending those in. As a reminder, you could always send it to us. You can tweet us at PSVG, or hit us up in the Discord. We will normally tweet out either the day of or the day before, or, with our scheduling, we don't know when we're recording half the time. So just send it to us and we'll throw it in the next show as soon as we can for you. So thank you for that. But it's time to move on to the news the week.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite news outlet on the Citadel.
Sir Lucas, you
Yes.
shall go first, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna go with my least impactful story here, but I thought this was kind of interesting. So the headline reads, Kojima's getting ready, quote, to make the scariest horror game, end quote. And if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what does. Obviously Death Stranding has all wrapped up. That's shipped. And so what he does apparently is he goes out and he gets the scariest movies he can find and he watches them to get into the mood to make a scary game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cute because he talks about, he made a Twitter post where he says, as to make the scariest horror game, I'll watch the scary movies in order to awaken my horror soul. The Eye is the Thai horror movie I rent when making PT. So Silent Hill trailer thing, but was too scary to finish watching. The package is scary, so I rented the disc only. Will I be able to finish watching? And he posted a picture, and it's not like, it must just unnerve him in a certain way because it's really not that scary. It's just like somebody staring and it's oddly colored or whatever. But basically, first of all, that's just funny and endearing. But I don't know. He has a certain brand that we've all come to either love or hate, whatever, it doesn't matter. But he has a certain brand that he can bring to certain types of games, action, horror. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. It was really a bummer. I never got to play the PT Silent Hill thing, but I've certainly watched plenty of videos of other people playing it, and it looked really promising, and it didn't look like anything else that I had seen up to that point. Not really. So yeah, I'm just really excited for this to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, me too. I'm a Kojima guy. I haven't been able to play Death Stranding yet. But PT had me really excited for something that eventually never came to be. And I think because of his unorthodox style of games and how he goes about doing them, that he can do a lot of interesting things that folk haven't done yet. And I think that's the biggest thing. And his writing, I mean, we've all played portions of Metal Gear going, wait, what? Like, as you hit these certain scenes, you're like,
yeah.
He has this just way of doing it unlike anybody else in the industry right. So I'm glad that he's going back to this. Like, I was kind of hoping that would be the first thing he would do when he got his own studio, but obviously Death Stranding came out first, and then now this hopefully is his next project if he sticks with it. I'm all for it because this is what I wanted in the first place from him. Yeah,
that's true. Hopefully some of those ideas can just kind of transfer over. Obviously it's not going to be Silent Hills.
You're right.
I guess the big question is, will it be first person or will it be third person? Because the PT thing was first person.
It's first person. I feel like he'd still do first person just because he didn't get to do that yet. And I just feel after playing Resident Evil 7, which was all in first person as well, and even playing the Resident Evil 2 remake, which is third person, I find the horror and the unnerving of the gameplay is much more effective in a first person mode.
I agree.
Evan and oh gosh, what was that other one that Sean Baichu did? He did the voices for
Outlast.
Outlast too, the same way. Like those games I find to be just more unnerving just because it puts you in the perspective of that player. Yeah. And it makes your imagination a little bit more wild with it.
You don't have the freedom to look around. Like, I'm going to set the view to 90 degrees or whatever so I can literally see almost all the way around my character in a third person.
See around the corner even though my character's facing a wall. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, yeah, we shall see. We shall see. But speaking of creepy things, reports Resident Evil 3 remake is being planned for 2020 according to a pair of reports that leaked out since they released Resident Evil. Yeah, just did. Somebody just dropped them. But yeah, given how well Resident Evil 2 did, loved overall. Got great reviews as a candidate in most of Game Awards that I've seen so far. It makes sense that Capcom would do it. And Capcom's known for going back to the well numerous times, as they have with Resident Evil games in general. They do it all the time. Now, personally, I was kind of maybe Resident Evil 8 coming out before they do another. You have Resident Evil 7, then Resident Evil 2, as they go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I get why they're doing this. Might be a bit easier. You're not rewriting a story. You have assets to work off of. Yes, it looks a whole lot better. But yeah, supposedly Resident Evil 3 is coming. I did not play this one. This is one of only 2, I think, in the series I did not play. But some folks in the Discord were pretty hyped when this first leaked out. So
all I have to say is stars, because that's all he does is walk around, and that's literally that has stayed with me up since I saw it in middle school, probably, or high school. This, what is it? Tyrant? Is that his name?
Yep.
Just walks around and says star. Spoilers, I guess, but it'll be interesting to see because he does chase you around the game, sort of like Mr. X.
Yep.
I wonder if they'll keep that because he does it for a lot longer in the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, because you kind of have to, right? But back then it was not seen probably as so much of a annoyance. Like I feel like it could be annoying now because that's not really how we make games these days.
Yeah, that was probably some of the least favorite sections I had in Resident Evil 2 was dealing with Mr. X following you around. Yeah. At certain points, some points it was fine, but then after a while you're like, gosh, like just get out of the way. Like, let me go do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because they're not really, I don't mean like he was a threat per se, because he could just end you real quick. But like overall, like it was easy to just run around in circles and get away from him. That was more just like, can we just get by this? Like, you don't need him. Like I've proven I can get around you. Like, just go away.
Yeah. Once you've seen it enough, you're just like, okay, I'm done.
Exactly. So I don't know how a whole game of that would translate for me, but.
And maybe it isn't the whole game. Maybe you kill him halfway through. I don't know. I never played the whole thing, but I do remember that, and it's probably the most important part. ask anybody who's ever ask anyone who's ever played RE3.
Fair enough. What else you got?
Speaking of games being released, so I guess for some people this will be either a big surprise or a big disappointment, depending on your feelings on VR. Because if you're familiar with the internet, you might be familiar with the meme of Half-Life 3 and how it'll never come out. Well, Valve did announce a Half-Life game, and it's based on not Gordon Freeman, not the free man, but Alex, the sidekick, who also had that awesome robot dog thing.
Yeah.
From Half-Life 2, and also from the weird episodic things, what were those called? Half-Life. I don't even remember. They were like episodes, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Episodes like the New Mesa, whatever. Black Mesa?
No, that's the remake. After this, they came out with there was like episode 1 and episode 2.
Hold on.
Okay. Well, so
Half-Life 2 episodes. So it's called.
So it is
Half-Life 2 episodes.
Okay. So I wasn't going crazy.
Nope.
So a data leak from the Valve Source 2 game engine uncovered by Valve News Network in September of last year suggests the existence of a new control system called the Gravity Gloves. Not gravity with a V, but gravity.
Sounds like a Harry Potter item.
A little bit, yeah.
Gloves.
It's true. Ars Technica reports that multiple sources have confirmed that this is indeed a major control system in Half-Life Alyx. So this is a little bit of an older thing, but basically it's been announced. I've watched a trailer. The tone is interesting. It almost looks a little bit like a horror light game. I mean, obviously we have head crabs, we have zombies and stuff. So it's not that surprising, but I mean, they go so far as to show, and I don't know how much of this is set up because it's a trailer, but you see your hands, you're wearing these gloves, and she's like, well, she, this is getting real confusing, but you as the
just
player.
Assume my gender.
Yeah, I did when you're playing this game. you push, like, she has a gun and the player is looking for ammo, and she's pushing like paint cans off these shelves and stuff to find shells to put in the gun, and she's pushing stuff over these bookshelves. There's a lot of pushing on bookshelf things. A lot of stuff in the way. She's looking at like what's going on down in the hall, and all of these things where you gain perspective because of VR, where you have the freedom to literally bob and weave and contort in a way so that you can look around the corner in real life. And I guess that surprised me. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying this is probably the Half-Life 3 that we're going to get.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. As far as VR goes, this looks like an actual legitimate
game. Not an
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
It's not you're standing there in one spot shooting zombies as they walk towards you.
Mhm.
This is a straight up game. And that, to me, whether or not it's Half-Life or anything, this is what I feel needs to happen for VR. Needed
Agreed.
to happen a long time ago. And Valve is actually releasing it on other platforms, even though they have gone out of their way to make their own headset by this point. So that all is really exciting to me, honestly.
I agree.
I thought with Bethesda we were going to get like Doom and Fallout and Skyrim on VR, and that was going to help, but I don't think it really did so much because they closed it off per platform. I think this will be the killer app as close as we're going to get.
I agree. This looked really impressive. It's definitely better than what I was thinking it was going to be as they were leading up to the announcement and actually unveiling what it was.
Yeah.
Because everyone right away was like Half-Life 3. I'm like, it is not Half-Life 3, and it's not.
No.
But this does look really impressive, and you're right. Regardless of what skin they throw over it to make it, Half-Life game, it could be any game, but it's just the matter of the quality of what we're seeing there, and the fact that there's an actual game and not just an experience is something that we haven't seen yet, or we haven't seen done effectively yet. So this will be really what happens from here, and to see if this motivates them to start working on Half-Life again.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of people online a little irritated that's only for VR. But I mean, that's up to them. Like, that's not, I get people are upset because like the game's been so long and they're back, and now it's a very niche market, but that's their call. And if this gets them working on it again, I'm actually get a Half-Life 3 because of it. Even better. People are forgetting, like, you can't make them say like, oh, all right, I take it back. We're not going to release the game now. Let's work on Half-Life 3. Like, that's let them make some money. Let them show people still have interest in Half-Life. Let them see if maybe this is a hardware seller. Even
exactly
for some people, which it might be.
Well, and it's no different than having an exclusive on a console. As far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's like twice as exclusive because you also need a computer. But speaking of which, that is the downside. I have read that it's even worse than most VR games. You need at least like 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty high for most people. So it is going to be a beast. But on the plus side, for most people, it's games like this that really push the hardware that for some reason see most people who are the people who spend a lot of money and time in their computer to actually buy this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones who want to see, can it run Crysis or can it run Half-Life?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really exciting. And I'm obviously I got my eyes on it because I'll want to play it when it comes out on my own headset.
Fair enough. So speaking of exciting things, Game Awards announcements came out.
Yes.
It's not really exciting, but Geoff or Goff Keeley's Geoff released the list to a lot of controversy that we've seen for the Game of the Year. So I'm not going to go through all of the awards, but I do want to highlight a couple here. So nominated for Game of the Year, Control, Death Stranding, Smash Brothers Ultimate, not released this year, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and The Outer Worlds. A pretty solid list, I'd say, except for me, I'm surprised. Well, not surprised. Smash deserves to be on there, but Smash really should have just been nominated last year. I hate this whole, like, it's got to have a November cutoff. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, this is just an award show. You could literally have, you don't need 3 months of planning to have the awards announced. Like it could be like this game's coming out. Like it's very strange to me because at this point, Smash seems so far removed, and I'm like, how is this even nominated for anything at this point?
And it almost feels like I know Game of the Year kind of doesn't have a genre, but look at all of these games. They're single player, story driven games, you know, and then there's Smash Brothers, which is just an online fighting game.
Right. Which I mean, sold tons, but it seems really strange. And Sekiro Shadows Die Twice seems strange to me to be on this list too, because I feel like not a lot of people talked about this game. So I'm kind of surprised it's there. You couldn't find another game at all. But,
yeah, that's true.
Another one I wanted to highlight here is Best Family Game.
Oh boy.
So I have to scroll down. Bear with me one moment.
Yeah,
I lost the place. Best Family Game. Okay. Luigi's Mansion 3.
Okay.
Ring Fit Adventure. Okay.
Get
Super
weird.
Mario Maker 2. Okay. Super Smash. Okay. Yoshi's Crafted World. Okay. Couple notes here. Number one, Ring Fit Adventure, I feel, is not a family game. Seeing pictures of people sweating and like gasping for breath, I do not want a 6-year-old playing this game. It's fine. My major criticism is, how is it only Nintendo games? Like, so there's no family game anywhere else on console, but they literally just listed everything Nintendo released this year, with the exception of Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Pummel Party's not even on here.
Right? That's a great family game.
It's funny too, because it's not even like, to me, this is where you find those board games that have been put into like the video game realm, and here it's just like, no, these are just games that are appropriate around children.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at it that way, it really does open it up more to the family game genre. Yeah, that is weird. And Ring Fit, it's all weird. Who does this? Who is in charge of this list?
I don't know. So a couple more highlights here. For some reason, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories for esports. Now, I'm not against esports getting awards. However, there's an award for best esports game. How is that a category? There's only select games that are even played for esports, and they pretty much just listed them all. It's Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Go, Dota 2, Fortnite, League of Legends, and Overwatch.
So they just want to know what came out on top, like what's going to have the biggest following, basically.
Sure, but here's the thing: that list probably hasn't changed in the last 3 years. All of these games have existed. Sports, like, there's nothing new here.
That's true.
So you have best esports player. I'm all for that. They should be recognized. Best esports team. Oh, cool with that. Best esports event.
Kind of weird,
right? Like Fortnite World Cup. All it was they just played Fortnite. Like, how is that? I don't get it. Evo is a little bit different, because at least it's all different games involved. But like the one where it's one thing, I'm like, what makes it any different than any other Overwatch, esport event or Fortnite esport event? To
me, all that most people are just going to vote for the thing they follow. And I feel like most people probably only follow 1 or 2 things.
Exactly.
So if I'm an Overwatch fan, I'm just going to click on all the things that say Overwatch or have to do with Overwatch.
Yep. Best esports coach. Why is that even a thing?
Weird.
Why is that a thing? Like, number one, apologies to like Kyle and Kabowski if you guys are listening. You actually know like the coaches for like the Overwatch leagues. I know you guys follow that, but it's like, why is that a thing? I don't get it. What is it? Shoot better, have better aim.
I mean, we haven't quite legitimized the game awards, and then you're throwing esports in there. I feel like you're just trying to do too much all at once.
Yep. And then the most atrocious one, best esports host.
That's like, now I don't even care. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's very odd. I did find one category funny, and I'll tell a little story about this. So, content creator of the year. So, basically, streamer of the year.
Okay. So,
the nominees were Courage. I've heard the name, but I'm not too familiar. Dr. Lupo, who I know. Ewok. No idea. Grefg. Grefg. I don't even know how you say it. Grefg. I don't know. And then Shroud, who I think is an incredible player. He's a great streamer. Like he's brilliant in a lot of games that he plays, Fortnite, Apex. Like, he's very, very skilled. None of these people actually do anything. I don't want to say anything more as if they need to, but they don't do anything more other than just stream whatever game they're playing. There's no attempt at doing anything, any production value, anything like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not really content creators. They're
right,
game
streamers, right? And ideally, like, these guys could all just be esports players. Like, they could just be like, if they wanted to join a team, they would just be the same as those. Noticeably, so Shroud is up there as one of the highest, following as far as streamers go, but Ninja isn't on here, which far be it for me to defend Ninja, but like the one of the largest guys not nominated. That's very strange.
Yeah.
Especially considering he made waves and made the move to Mixer from Twitch. So I don't know if that's
he's
the
not
reason
a
he got
content
snubbed.
creator. He's a streamer. There's a difference.
Well, sure. Okay. So I mean, that's
I don't know what the difference is.
I mean, like, you're right. That's the same argument what we just said. Like, but I mean, at least he has sessions. He'll stop. He'll actually talk to the camera. Like, he's not just playing a game and people are watching him just play. Like, he actually interacts, does other things. I'll give him some credit there.
Where's Jacksepticeye? That's what I want to know.
The person who took the most offenses was Dr. Disrespect, who just won a Streamer of the Year award.
That's true.
And like, then was snubbed here, not even nominated. So he took time out of his stream the day that these came out. He's like, all right, apparently I need to check out the Game Awards reviews. And he goes to the website and he's looking through. And he's like, and he's like, Courage, Dr. Lupo, blah, blah, and he goes to Shroud, and Shroud's his friend in real life. So he's like, oh, great to see Shroud on here. And he's like, oh, weird. And then he gets a phone call from his cell phone, which he only uses as a flip phone. And he opens it up. He goes, oh, Jeff. Like, he just makes entire time about how he wasn't nominated, and then he just goes off and he's like, I am the best, I'm the D champion. He's like, he pulls out the award he just got, like, from his desk, and he just goes off on a rant how he wasn't even nominated.
I mean, he has to, right? He has to go off because it illegitimizes the entire content creator of the year.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the list just continues to be controversial.
If it makes anybody else feel better, like, the Oscars have plenty of,
that's true,
categories where they don't even televise that part because nobody cares except for people who work in that field.
They do, like, here's the list given off the air, and just like scrolls down real quick.
Oh, that's like 3/4 of the awards, actually. Never mind.
Yeah. The only other news tidbit I had real quick was State of Decay 2 is coming to Steam next year. So that's kind of a big deal. Microsoft developed game because they own the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
So and it will be cross-play enabled with Xbox. So you can
I can get someone to play with me.
I'll say Coach Mo's looking to play State of Decay 2, and I'm thinking about re-downloading and giving it another shot because I didn't hate it, but I found it a little lonely when you play by yourself. So I think playing with other people would be cool. So you might have another player there, Coach, if you're listening.
2 other players.
Well, I meant you because I kind of already said I'd do it. So.
Oh.
Unless you're bringing somebody else. Is there somebody else you're not telling me about?
Yeah, I'm going to bring my son. He's 4 years old and he loves shooting zombies.
Nice. Perfect. You got anything else before we wrap this up?
Yeah, speaking of Steam real quick, this is my biggest news, I think. Real big news. Steam's Remote Play goes live and may be the best thing to happen to PC multiplayer in ages. That's just conjecture. But seriously, I mean, that's your opinion. That's just like your opinion, man. I can't believe they put that in the headline. What kind of news source is this? Anyways, so yeah, I think Donnie had mentioned, like, Steam just kind of doing whatever they want and testing things and then just releasing it to, like, no fanfare apparently until a news site picks up on it. But here's the thing. This is a good thing. This is a really good thing. This is a thing that gets rid of things like Parsec. If you're familiar with Parsec, trying to play local co-op only games over the internet with your friends. Now, it just left beta, which means it's officially live, which means you can actually do it instead of having to go into Steam and turn on a beta thing. And no, it's happening now. What that means is only one player needs to own the game that you want to play. That alone is huge. So you don't have to get these multi-packs of 4 copies of the game and gift to your friends. Josh, I'm thinking of you. Have to buy so many games just so we can play together. So how it works is one person hosts, so it's a locally hosted thing, and invites up to 3 others, assuming your internet can handle that. Stadia people, I think you probably already know if your internet can handle 3 other people, since you've already been looking up your megabytes per second for the last 3 months. But also, they don't have to play on their PC necessarily. You could also play on your Android or iOS devices. Which I thought was pretty cool via like a Steam Link app type deal. So yeah, pretty interesting. They are also doing a sale, which is probably pretty close to ending soon, for couch co-op games that have that enabled. But yeah, I mean, that is really cool because there are plenty of games that come out on Steam that they don't have the ability to really do netcode and that kind of thing, but they'll easily add a couch co-op. And a lot of the time it almost seems to be one or the other. You either get couch co-op or you don't. Overcooked. The first one is a good example. So, I mean, I don't see how this can't be a bad thing. You know, this is really cool. And I think it's probably going to get a lot more casual users to play Steam. The people who don't have to buy the game just to come and play, just, you know, download Steam and boom, there you go. Yeah, for sure. I think it's very cool. It would definitely get me to play more games with you and Josh if my rig could actually handle them when stuff like that pops up. But no, that's a great way to get in, especially with like a lot of the older games that are still on Steam that people might want to play. It's like, well, there's no online capability in some of these older games. Well, now we can just do this instead, and it works. Right. My only concern would kind of be like, all right, so let's say hypothetically, Pummel Party was one of these titles. I don't think it is. I didn't see it in that Steam sale or whatever, but let's say it was, and you're hosting it. How do you really need to make sure 4 are playing off that same stream? Like, is it going to get bad results? Is it going to be clear? Like older games, if it's just 2 people, I think it'd be great. But I feel like if you get to 3 or 4, it could get a little bit icky, hairy. Yeah, and I think it depends because, like, even let's say Mortal Kombat 11, it's 2 players. That requires a lot of input latency reduction, and I can't imagine that the person who's like basically dialing into your computer is going to win that often, no matter how good it is. I would imagine it would probably feel almost as laggy as a match of Smash Brothers. Yeah. Ultimate. That's fair. But maybe now you can beat Josh in Mortal Kombat if you do it that way. I have never played him in Mortal Kombat because he bought it on an inferior device. I think it was the PlayStation. Really? I don't know. Now I'm just throwing everyone under the butt. Probably. Maybe it was. Yeah, I think you're right. It was the Xbox. I don't know. You people in your multiple consoles. Goodness gracious. Stop flaunting your wealth. I think that's stopping real soon for me anyway, too. Like, I don't think next gen I'm going in with much going on. So I'll be right there with you. Might be invested in my computer. I don't know. Quick question. Yes. I'm seeing pictures of the PS5 and it looks like a briefcase. Yeah. What is going on? Is that real? I have no idea. That can't be real. They're saying it's real, but I don't know if that's like what the home version will look like. It's not. That might be like a dev kit. It has to be. That's what I think, because it's ugly. If that's the case. HDMI. It looks like a AV receiver. Yeah. So many outputs and toggles and buttons. I guess it's how it has like a 2-second load time. Maybe, I don't know. Like it might be. I don't know. The PS4 Pro is ugly. That was the thing that looked like the hamburger. It was like the triple stacks. Oh, like the same thing. So they're not known for their design sleekness. And I still like look at the Xbox next to my PS4 and I'm like, why is the PS4 shaped like one of those old pink erasers? Because it has like that slanted edge. It's weird. I don't know. They stop it, PlayStation. Knock it off right now. Get a designer who isn't the one you've been using since the PS2 era and get it together. Get with it. Get in or get out. Speaking of getting out, what do you say we do the same, Lucas? All right. Yeah, let's do it. Where can people find you? I hang out in the Discord. Let's just be honest right now. You can @ me on there and I will find you and I will talk to you. I'm also on Twitter, but there's a lot of noise on Twitter. I'm getting tagged in all sorts of things. I don't even know what half of it is. So I don't always check that. But I also talk about my daily life, not just my gaming life, on a little podcast we do called Fluxtapose. So if you want to check that out and hear more ridiculousness about me and my co-host, then you can do that.
I meant like, where can people find you right now? As in like, oh, I'm in my basement, but Jesus, Lucas, fine, whatever.
Well, here, let me go on Google Maps and get my actual coordinates.
We'll put that in the show notes. People can go right to your house.
Put an actual Google Map link, and then you click on it, and it shows where I live.
And please let it be like one of those images when they take a picture of your house, you happen to be outside like mowing the lawn or something. You just like waving to them.
Or the time I threw every piece of garbage I had out in the lawn. Man, he lives in a real garbage dump.
It'd be fantastic. People can follow me on Twitter at PSVG Kevin. Please follow the show at PSVG to get news on all of the great things our network does. Head over to the website, psvg.blog, to find links to all things, including our Discord, Patreon, YouTube, Twitch. Everything we do is all linked up there. But most importantly, as always, we ask, ladies and gentlemen, that you never stop gaming.
This has been a PSVG production. Any music, sound effects, or the like is owned by their respective copyright holders. No infringement is intended. The views expressed in this production are those of the individual contributor and may not necessarily reflect PSVG. This production may not be repurposed, reused, or redistributed without the express written consent of PSVG. PSVG is powered by patrons at patreon.com/PSVG. Become a patron to get special perks, including access to exclusive content.